Abandoned puppy follows soldier home. Their journey will warm your heart. How will this story unfold? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. The forest was unusually quiet that day, the kind of silence that seemed to hang in the air before a storm. Private Alex Carter adjusted the straps of his backpack and surveyed the path ahead. As a soldier stationed in the remote mountains, his patrols often led him through rugged terrain. The isolation was something he had grown used to, but today felt different, a tension he couldn't quite place. The crunch of his boots against the fallen leaves was the only sound, until a faint whimper broke the stillness. Alex stopped in his tracks, ears straining. The sound came again, softer this time but unmistakable. A whimper, high-pitched and filled with a kind of desperation that sent a pang through his chest. Curiosity and concern propelled him forward, following the sound into the dense underbrush. As he pushed aside a thicket of branches, he froze. There, nestled between the roots of a large tree, was a tiny puppy. Its coat was a patchwork of mud and dirt, and its ribs were visible beneath the thin layer of fur. The puppy looked up at him with wide, fearful eyes, its small body trembling. "Hey, little guy," Alex murmured, crouching down slowly to avoid startling the animal. The puppy recoiled at first, pressing itself deeper into the roots, but Alex remained still, speaking softly. "It's okay. I'm not gonna hurt you." Minutes passed as he let the puppy acclimate to his presence. Eventually, its trembling subsided, and it took a tentative step forward, its nose twitching as it sniffed the air between them. Alex reached into his pocket, pulling out a small piece of jerky he had planned to eat later. He held it out, and the puppy hesitated before inching closer. "That's it," Alex encouraged. "You must be starving." The puppy snatched the jerky and retreated to its spot under the tree, devouring the morsel with ferocious hunger. Alex felt a mixture of relief and heartbreak. He couldn't imagine how long the poor creature had been out here alone. As the puppy finished eating, it looked back at him, its eyes no longer filled with fear but with something else, hope. Alex knew he couldn't just leave the puppy there. The forest was no place for an animal this small and vulnerable. But bringing it back to the base was a risk. Rules were rules, and pets were strictly forbidden. Still, as he watched the puppy take a hesitant step toward him, its tail wagging ever so slightly, he made his decision. "All right," he said with a sigh, pulling a spare blanket from his pack. "You're coming with me." He wrapped the puppy in the blanket and tucked it securely into his pack, leaving enough room for its head to peek out. The puppy let out a small, contented sigh and settled into the warmth. Alex couldn't help but smile as he resumed his patrol, the added weight on his back a comforting reminder of the tiny life he had saved. Back at the base, Alex faced his next challenge, keeping the puppy hidden. He had managed to sneak it into his quarters without being noticed, but keeping it quiet was another matter. The puppy, whom he had started calling Max, was curious and playful, a stark contrast to the stoic environment of the military base. Alex fashioned a makeshift bed for Max out of an old jacket and kept him entertained with scraps of rope and other small objects he found around his quarters. At night, Max would curl up next to Alex, his small body radiating warmth and comfort. For the first time in months, Alex felt a sense of companionship that eased the loneliness of his deployment. But keeping Max a secret wasn't easy. One evening, as Alex was playing with the puppy, there was a knock at his door. His heart raced as he quickly scooped Max up and hid him under the bed. The door creaked open, and Sergeant Thompson stepped inside. "Everything all right, Carter?" the sergeant asked, his eyes scanning the room. "Yes, sir," Alex replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "Just going over some reports." Thompson lingered for a moment before nodding. "Carry on." As the door closed behind him, Alex let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Max, sensing the tension, emerged from under the bed and nuzzled against Alex's leg. Alex crouched down and scratched behind the puppy's ears. "We've got to be more careful, buddy," he whispered. Days turned into weeks, and Max became a fixture in Alex's life. The puppy's playful antics brought a sense of normalcy to the harsh conditions of military life. Alex often found himself laughing at Max's antics, whether it was chasing his tail or attempting to chew on Alex's boots. Max had a way of lifting the weight of the world off Alex's shoulders, even if only for a little while. But as much as Alex loved having Max by his side, he knew their time together was temporary. His deployment was nearing its end, and the thought of leaving Max behind filled him with a sense of dread. The idea of abandoning the puppy to an uncertain fate was unbearable. One evening, as Alex sat on his cot with Max curled up beside him, he made a decision. He would find a way to bring Max home, no matter what it took. The thought of returning to civilian life without the puppy was unthinkable. Max had become more than a companion, he was family. The journey to get Max out of the base and back home would be no small feat. Alex began making discreet inquiries, reaching out to trusted friends and colleagues who might be able to help. Each conversation was a calculated risk, but Alex was determined to do whatever it took to ensure Max's safety. The days passed, and Alex's determination to bring Max home only grew stronger. Each night, as the puppy curled up beside him, he found himself thinking of the life they could have together back in the States. He imagined Max running through open fields, playing with other dogs, and living a life far removed from the dangers of the forest and the rigidity of the military base. But the logistics of getting Max home were daunting. Military protocols were strict, and sneaking a puppy onto a transport plane was no small task. Alex began reaching out to trusted friends, starting with his closest confidant on the base, Private Ryan Turner. Ryan had been Alex's bunkmate since their first day in training, and the two shared an unbreakable bond. If anyone could be trusted to keep a secret, it was him. Ryan, Alex began one evening, lowering his voice to a whisper. "I need your help with something." Ryan raised an eyebrow, his curiosity piqued. "What kind of help?" Alex hesitated before pulling back the blanket on his cot, revealing Max curled up in a small ball. The puppy yawned and stretched, oblivious to the gravity of the moment. Ryan's eyes widened. "Is that a dog?" "On this base." Alex nodded, a sheepish smile on his face. "I found him in the forest. He was all alone. I couldn't just leave him there." For a moment, Ryan stared at the puppy, his expression unreadable. Then, to Alex's relief, he let out a low chuckle. "You've got guts, I'll give you that. But you know this is against every rule in the book, right?" "Trust me, I know," Alex replied. "But I can't leave him behind, Ryan. He's just a puppy. I need to get him home." Ryan leaned back, rubbing his chin as he considered the situation. "All right," he said finally. "I'll help you. But we're going to have to be careful. If anyone finds out, we're both in serious trouble." Alex felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you. I owe you." "Yeah, you do," Ryan said with a grin. "Big time." With Ryan's help, Alex began formulating a plan. The first step was to ensure Max stayed hidden until they could arrange transport. Ryan suggested using an old storage shed on the edge of the base, a place rarely visited by anyone other than maintenance personnel. Under the cover of night, Alex and Ryan moved Max to the shed, setting up a cozy makeshift bed with blankets and supplies. The puppy seemed content in his new hideout, wagging his tail as Alex placed a bowl of water and some food nearby. "You're really going all out for this little guy," Ryan remarked as he watched Alex fuss over the puppy. "He's worth it," Alex replied, scratching Max behind the ears. "He deserves a chance at a better life." The next hurdle was finding a way to get Max on a transport plane. Alex reached out to a civilian contractor named Sarah, who often worked with the military on logistics and had a soft spot for animals. He approached her cautiously, explaining Max's story and his desire to bring the puppy home. Sarah listened intently, her expression softening as Alex described finding Max in the forest. "That's quite the story," she said, "and I can see why you'd want to save him." "All right, I'll see what I can do." Her willingness to help was a glimmer of hope, but there were still challenges to overcome. Transporting a live animal required paperwork, and any discrepancies could raise red flags. Sarah promised to keep everything under the radar, using her connections to expedite the process. As the pieces of the plan fell into place, Alex couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and anxiety. The thought of bringing Max home filled him with joy, but the risk of getting caught weighed heavily on his mind. He knew that one mistake could jeopardize everything, not just for him but for Max as well. The day of their departure arrived sooner than Alex had anticipated. Sarah had arranged for Max to be smuggled onto a supply plane in a small, secure crate. Alex spent the morning with Max, trying to reassure the puppy as he prepared him for the journey. "You're going to love it back home," Alex said, his voice thick with emotion. "No more hiding, no more rules. Just a big yard, lots of treats, and all the love you can handle." Max seemed to sense that something was happening. He nuzzled against Alex's hand, his tail wagging slowly. Alex took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. The final moments before the flight were tense. Alex and Ryan worked quickly, carrying Max's crate to the designated drop-off point. Sarah was waiting for them, her expression serious as she double-checked the arrangements. "This is it," she said. "Once he's on the plane, there's no turning back." Alex nodded, his jaw set with determination. "Thank you, Sarah, for everything," she smiled. "Just make sure this little guy gets the life he deserves." As the crate was loaded onto the plane, Alex felt a pang of sadness. He wouldn't see Max again until they were both back in the States, and the thought of being apart from the puppy, even for a short time, was difficult to bear. The flight was nerve-wracking, but everything went according to plan. When Alex arrived back home, he rushed to the designated pickup point where Max's crate had been delivered. The moment he opened the crate, Max leapt into his arms, his tail wagging furiously. "You made it, buddy," Alex said, his voice breaking with emotion. "We did it." From that day on, Max became an inseparable part of Alex's life. The puppy thrived in his new environment, his playful energy bringing joy to everyone he met. Alex, too, found a sense of fulfillment and purpose he hadn't felt in years. Their journey together became the stuff of local legend, a story that warmed the hearts of everyone who heard it. For Alex and Max, it was a reminder that even in the harshest of circumstances, kindness and determination could create a bond that transcended all boundaries. Max's transition to his new life in the States was nothing short of remarkable. The puppy who had once trembled beneath the roots of a tree in the forest now bounded across the backyard of Alex's home with boundless energy. His floppy ears flapped as he ran, chasing after a ball Alex tossed across the yard. The bond between Alex and Max grew stronger with each passing day. They quickly settled into a routine. Morning walks through the neighborhood, afternoons spent playing in the park, and evenings curled up on the couch. For Alex, Max was more than a pet. He was a source of comfort, a loyal companion who had been with him through some of the most challenging moments of his life. One afternoon, as they strolled through the park, a woman approached them with a warm smile. "That's a beautiful dog," she said, kneeling to pet Max. "What's his name?" "Max," Alex replied, watching as Max eagerly wagged his tail. The woman glanced up at Alex. "You two seem inseparable." Alex smiled. "He's been through a lot. We both have." As they continued their walk, Alex thought about how much Max had changed his life. The puppy had not only filled a void in his heart, but had also taught him the value of resilience and unconditional love. Word of Max's story began to spread throughout the community. Neighbors and friends were captivated by the tale of how Alex had found the abandoned puppy in the forest and brought him back to safety. People often stopped Alex on the street to ask about Max, eager to hear more about their journey. One day, Alex received an unexpected call from a local journalist. "Hi, Mr. Carter," the voice on the other end said. "I'm with the town newspaper, and I've heard about your story with Max. I was wondering if you'd be willing to share it with our readers." Alex hesitated. He wasn't used to being in the spotlight, but he knew that Max's story could inspire others. After a brief moment of consideration, he agreed. The article was published the following week, accompanied by a photo of Alex and Max sitting on the front porch of their home. The response was overwhelming. Letters and emails poured in from people who had been moved by the story, many of them sharing their own experiences with rescue animals. One of those letters stood out. It was from a woman named Margaret, who ran a local animal rescue organization. She invited Alex to visit the shelter, explaining that his story had inspired her team to create a new program focused on finding homes for abandoned animals. When Alex and Max arrived at the shelter, they were greeted with open arms. Margaret introduced them to the staff and showed them around, explaining how the shelter worked tirelessly to care for animals in need. As they walked through the facility, Max seemed to sense the purpose of their visit. He approached each kennel with curiosity, his tail wagging as he greeted the animals inside. The sight brought a smile to Alex's face. "He's a natural," Margaret said, watching Max interact with a shy kitten. "Have you ever considered having him help with the rescue efforts?" Dogs like Max can make a big difference in helping other animals feel safe and comfortable. The idea intrigued Alex. He had always wanted to give back to the community, and this seemed like the perfect way to do it. "Let's give it a try," he said. Max quickly became a beloved member of the rescue team. His gentle demeanor and playful energy had a calming effect on the animals, many of whom had experienced trauma. He would sit quietly beside a nervous dog or playfully nudge a hesitant cat, earning their trust in ways that only an animal could. For Alex, seeing Max thrive in this new role was incredibly rewarding. The puppy he had once saved was now helping to save others, creating a ripple effect of kindness and compassion. As the weeks turned into months, Alex and Max became regular fixtures at the shelter. They participated in adoption events, where Max's friendly presence often encouraged potential adopters to give shy or anxious animals a chance. Alex also shared their story at local schools and community events, using it as an opportunity to raise awareness about the importance of animal rescue. One evening, as Alex sat on the porch with Max at his side, he reflected on how much their lives had changed since that fateful day in the forest. Max had not only become a part of his family, but had also brought purpose and joy into his life in ways he never could have imagined. "You've come a long way, buddy," Alex said, scratching Max behind the ears. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Max looked up at Alex, his tail wagging as if to say, "The feeling's mutual." Their journey together was a testament to the power of connection and the profound impact that one act of kindness could have. Alex knew that he and Max were exactly where they were meant to be, together creating a brighter future for themselves and others. Months had passed since Max and Alex began volunteering at the animal rescue shelter. Every day brought new challenges, but it also brought moments of joy and purpose that strengthened their bond. Max had become somewhat of a local celebrity, and his story continued to inspire people to adopt rescue animals. One particularly busy Saturday, the shelter held an adoption event at the local park. Dozens of people showed up, eager to meet the animals and learn more about the shelter's work. Alex and Max were stationed near the entrance, greeting visitors as they arrived. Max's wagging tail and friendly demeanor put people at ease, making it impossible not to smile as they approached. A young boy with wide eyes and a shy demeanor walked up to them, clutching his mother's hand tightly. He hesitated at first, but Max sensed his uncertainty and gently nudged his hand with his nose. The boy giggled, his nervousness melting away. "Can I pet him?" the boy asked, looking up at Alex. "Of course," Alex said with a warm smile. "His name's Max. He loves meeting new friends." The boy knelt down, his small hands running through Max's soft fur. The puppy's tail wagged furiously as he leaned into the boy's touch. The moment was heartwarming, and Alex could see the joy in the boy's eyes. As the event went on, Alex noticed a man standing off to the side, watching the scene unfold. He had a weathered face and a tired expression, but his eyes softened as he observed Max interacting with the visitors. Eventually, he approached Alex, his voice quiet but steady. "That's quite the dog you've got there," the man said. "Thank you," Alex replied. "He's a special one." The man nodded, his gaze lingering on Max. "I lost my dog a few months ago. He was my best friend. Seeing Max here today, it reminds me of how much I miss having that companionship." Alex felt a pang of empathy. He knew how profound the bond between a person and their dog could be. "I'm sorry for your loss," he said sincerely. "It's never easy losing a friend like that." The man nodded again, his expression thoughtful. "Maybe it's time for me to open my heart to another one." Alex smiled. "There are plenty of dogs here today who would love to meet you. Max and I can help you find the perfect one." The man spent the next hour walking through the event with Alex and Max by his side. Together, they met several dogs, each with their own unique personality and charm. Eventually, the man stopped in front of a kennel where a timid brown dog sat quietly, her eyes filled with both hope and fear. "This one," he said softly. "There's something about her." Alex knelt down beside the kennel, opening the door slowly. The dog hesitated at first but eventually took a cautious step forward, her nose twitching as she sniffed the air. Max wagged his tail and approached her gently, his presence seeming to reassure her. The man reached out his hand, and the dog tentatively licked his fingers. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. "I think she's the one," he said, his voice filled with emotion. Moments like these reminded Alex why he and Max had committed themselves to this work. Seeing the connection form between the man and the dog was a powerful reminder of how much love and healing animals could bring into people's lives. As the event came to a close, Alex and Max watched as several dogs and cats found their forever homes. The shelter staff was thrilled with the turnout, and Margaret approached Alex with a broad smile. "We couldn't have done this without you too," she said. "Max has a way of bringing out the best in everyone." Alex smiled, glancing down at Max, who was now sprawled out on the grass, exhausted but content. "He's got a gift, that's for sure." Back at home, Alex reflected on how much his life had changed since he first found Max in the forest. The puppy had not only brought joy and companionship into his life, but had also given him a sense of purpose. Together, they had made a difference in their community, and Alex couldn't have been prouder of what they had accomplished. But their journey was far from over. Alex knew there were still more animals in need, more people who could benefit from the unconditional love of a pet. With Max by his side, he was ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. "Ready for our next adventure, buddy?" Alex asked, scratching Max behind the ears. Max wagged his tail in response, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Whatever the future held, Alex knew they would face it together. As the months turned into a year, Alex and Max's impact on the community only grew. They had become well-known figures in their small town, with Max often referred to as the miracle pup by those who knew his story. Together, they had participated in countless adoption events, community fundraisers, and even school visits to educate children about the importance of kindness toward animals. One morning, Alex received a call from Margaret, the director of the shelter. Her voice sounded excited. "Alex, I have some news. There's a regional animal rescue conference happening next month, and I'd like you and Max to attend as guest speakers." Alex was taken aback. "Guest speakers? Margaret, I'm not sure I'm the right person for that." "Nonsense," Margaret replied. "You and Max have done so much for this community. Your story is exactly what people need to hear. Besides, Max will steal the show." Alex chuckled. "You're probably right about that. All right, we'll do it." Over the next few weeks, Alex prepared for the conference. He worked on his speech, carefully crafting a narrative that would capture the audience's attention while emphasizing the importance of rescuing and adopting animals. Max, as always, was by his side, offering silent support with his wagging tail and curious eyes. The day of the conference arrived, and Alex found himself standing backstage, nervously glancing at the crowd. The auditorium was packed with animal lovers, shelter workers, and volunteers from all over the region. Max sat calmly at his feet, seemingly unfazed by the bustling energy around them. "All right, buddy," Alex said, taking a deep breath. "Let's go show them what we're all about." As they stepped onto the stage, the audience erupted into applause. Max trotted confidently beside Alex, his tail wagging as he looked out at the crowd. Alex couldn't help but smile. Max had a way of making every situation feel less daunting. "Good morning, everyone," Alex began, his voice steady despite his nerves. "My name is Alex Carter, and this is Max. Our journey together started in the most unexpected way, and it's a story I'm honored to share with you today." He went on to recount how he had found Max in the forest, the challenges they had faced together, and how their bond had transformed both their lives. As he spoke, he could see the audience hanging on his every word, their faces reflecting a range of emotions. from sadness to hope and everything in between. By the time Alex finished his speech, the room was filled with a sense of inspiration and warmth. The audience gave him a standing ovation, and several people approached him afterward to thank him for sharing his story. "Your story reminded me of why I started volunteering at my local shelter," one woman said, tears in her eyes. "Thank you for reminding us that every animal deserves a second chance." Another man added, "Max is incredible. You've done something really special here." Alex was humbled by the outpouring of support. He knew that Max was the true star of the show, and he couldn't have been prouder of the little pup who had come so far. As they drove home that evening, Alex reflected on the day's events. The conference had been a milestone in their journey, a moment that highlighted just how much they had achieved together. But Alex knew there was still more work to be done. The next morning, he received an unexpected email from a national animal rescue organization. They had heard about his speech at the conference and wanted to feature his story in a documentary series about the impact of rescue animals. Alex was stunned. The opportunity to share Max's story on such a large platform was both exciting and nerve-wracking. After discussing it with Margaret and a few close friends, he decided to say yes. The documentary crew arrived a few weeks later, setting up cameras and equipment in Alex's home. Max, ever the curious pup, sniffed at everything and everyone, his tail wagging non-stop. The filming process was a new experience for Alex, but he quickly got the hang of it. He spoke candidly about his journey with Max, from their first meeting in the forest to their current work with the shelter. The crew also captured footage of Max interacting with other animals, his playful and gentle nature shining through. One particularly touching moment occurred when Alex revisited the forest where he had first found Max standing beneath the same tree. He couldn't help but feel a wave of emotion wash over him. "This is where it all began," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "I didn't know it at the time, but finding Max was the best thing that ever happened to me." When the documentary was released, it quickly gained national attention. People from all over the country reached out to Alex, sharing their own stories of rescue animals and how they had changed their lives. The shelter received a surge in donations and adoptions, a testament to the power of Max's story. For Alex, the experience was a reminder of just how much one small act of kindness could ripple out into the world. Max had not only transformed his life, but had also inspired countless others to open their hearts to animals in need. As they sat on the porch one evening, watching the sun set over the horizon, Alex looked down at Max and smiled. "You've done so much good, buddy. More than I ever thought possible." Max wagged his tail, resting his head on Alex's lap. In that moment, Alex knew that their journey was far from over. Together, they would continue to make a difference, one paw print at a time. Life for Alex and Max had settled into a rhythm that was both fulfilling and exciting. Max's popularity continued to grow, with invitations pouring in for Alex and Max to attend events, participate in workshops, and share their inspiring journey with animal lovers across the country. Despite their busy schedule, Alex always made sure that Max had plenty of time to simply be a dog, running in the park, chasing squirrels, and curling up for long naps on the couch. One day, Alex received an invitation that stood out from the rest. It was from a large-scale adoption event being held in New York City, one of the biggest in the country. The organizers had heard about Max and wanted him to be the event's honorary ambassador. They believed his story would encourage more people to adopt animals in need. Though the idea of traveling to such a bustling city was daunting, Alex knew it was an opportunity they couldn't pass up. With Max by his side, he felt ready to take on anything. The journey to New York was an adventure in itself. It was Max's first time on a plane, and Alex had taken every precaution to ensure his comfort. Max, ever the adaptable pup, handled the experience with surprising calmness. By the time they landed, he was wagging his tail and ready to explore. The city was unlike anything Max had ever experienced. The towering buildings, the honking cars, and the sheer number of people were overwhelming at first, but Alex's reassuring presence helped him adjust. They took their time strolling through the streets, with Max receiving countless pats and smiles from passers-by. "You're quite the star," Alex said with a chuckle as yet another person stopped to admire Max. The puppy wagged his tail, clearly enjoying the attention. The adoption event was held in a massive park, with tents and booths set up for various rescue organizations. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as families and individuals wandered from one booth to the next, meeting animals and learning about adoption. As the honorary ambassador, Max had a special role to play. He greeted visitors at the entrance, his wagging tail and friendly demeanor setting the tone for the event. Children flocked to him, their laughter ringing through the air as they petted and played with him. Alex took the stage midway through the event to share their story. Standing in front of a crowd that stretched as far as he could see, he felt a mix of nerves and gratitude. Max sat beside him, a calming presence as always. Our journey together started in the most unexpected way, Alex began, his voice steady. I found Max abandoned in the forest, scared and alone. What I didn't realize at the time was that he wasn't the only one who needed saving. He changed my life in ways I never thought possible. As Alex spoke, he could see the audience's faces light up with emotion. He shared how Max had inspired him to work with the local shelter, how their bond had grown, and how Max's story had touched so many lives. By the end of the speech, there wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. The applause was deafening, and Alex felt a swell of pride as he looked down at Max, who was wagging his tail happily. The event turned out to be a huge success, with dozens of animals finding their forever homes. Alex and Max spent the rest of the day mingling with visitors, taking photos, and even helping to pair a few families with their new pets. It was a day filled with hope and joy, and Alex couldn't have been more grateful to be a part of it. As they returned to their hotel that evening, Alex reflected on the day's events. Max had once again proven to be a beacon of positivity and love, bringing people together and inspiring them to make a difference. "You're amazing, you know that?" Alex said, scratching Max behind the ears. The puppy looked up at him with those trusting eyes, as if to say, "We're amazing together." The following morning, Alex received an unexpected visit from one of the event organizers. She handed him an envelope, her face beaming with excitement. "We wanted to thank you and Max for everything you've done," she said. Inside the envelope was a check, a generous donation made in Max's name to their local shelter. The gesture brought tears to Alex's eyes. It was yet another reminder of how much of an impact Max had made, not just on his life but on the lives of so many others. Back in their hometown, Alex and Max continued their work with the shelter, bolstered by the connections and resources they had gained from the New York event. They used the donation to improve the shelter's facilities, ensuring that every animal received the care and attention they deserved. Max's role as an ambassador grew even more prominent, with people traveling from neighboring towns just to meet him. He had become a symbol of hope and resilience, a living testament to the power of second chances. But through it all, Alex never lost sight of what truly mattered. Max wasn't just a hero or a mascot, he was family. Their bond was unshakable, forged through shared experiences and a love that transcended words. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the stars, Alex thought about how far they had come. From the forest to the bustling streets of New York, their journey had been nothing short of extraordinary. "You've done so much good, Max," Alex said softly. "More than I ever thought possible." Max rested his head on Alex's lap, his tail wagging gently. In that moment, Alex knew that their story was far from over. Together, they would continue to make a difference, one step and one paw print at a time. As the days turned into weeks, Alex and Max found themselves at the center of a growing movement in their community. People from all walks of life were coming forward to volunteer, donate, and adopt animals, inspired by the story of a man and his dog who had transformed each other's lives. One afternoon, while working at the shelter, Margaret approached Alex with an idea. "I've been thinking," she began, "what if we started a program to pair rescue animals with people who really need them? Veterans, children with disabilities, even people struggling with loneliness. Max could be the face of it." Alex's eyes lit up. "That's a fantastic idea. Max has such a gift for connecting with people. If he can help others the way he's helped me, we could really make a difference." And so, the Pause for Healing program was born. The initiative aimed to train rescue animals to become emotional support companions, matching them with individuals who could benefit from their unconditional love and companionship. The program quickly gained traction, with local businesses and community members rallying around the cause. Max became the program's official ambassador, his story serving as a beacon of hope for those in need. Alex took on the role of coordinator, working tirelessly to ensure the program's success. The first official pairing was with a veteran named Tom, who had been struggling with PTSD since returning from deployment. Tom had heard about the program through a friend and decided to give it a try. When he met Buddy, a gentle golden retriever who had been rescued from a neglectful situation, it was an instant connection. Alex watched as Tom knelt down to meet Buddy for the first time. The dog approached cautiously, his tail wagging ever so slightly. When Tom reached out to pet him, Buddy leaned into his hand, a soft whine escaping his throat. "You're a good boy, aren't you?" Tom said, his voice cracking with emotion. Alex felt a lump in his throat as he witnessed the bond forming between man and dog. It was a reminder of why they had started this program in the first place. As the weeks went by, more and more pairings were made. A young girl named Emma, who had been struggling with severe anxiety, found solace in a spirited beagle named Daisy. An elderly man named Walter, who had recently lost his wife, discovered a newfound sense of purpose through his bond with a spunky terrier named Milo. Each success story fueled Alex's determination to expand the program. With the help of volunteers and donations, they were able to provide training, resources, and support to ensure that every pairing was a success. Max, of course, remained at the heart of it all. He accompanied Alex to meetings, training sessions, and events, his calm and friendly demeanor making him the perfect role model for the rescue animals. Wherever Max went, he brought smiles and hope, proving time and time again that even the smallest acts of kindness could ripple out in profound ways. One day, while walking through the park with Max, Alex was approached by a woman pushing a stroller. She had a toddler in tow and a look of recognition in her eyes. "Excuse me," she said. "Are you Alex? And is this Max?" Alex nodded, smiling. "That's us." The woman's face lit up. "I just wanted to thank you. My husband adopted a dog through your program a few months ago, and it's completely changed our lives. He was struggling so much after losing his job, but having Charlie around has given him a reason to keep going." Alex's heart swelled with pride. "I'm so glad to hear that. Stories like yours are why we do what we do." As the woman walked away, Alex looked down at Max. "You hear that, buddy? You're making a difference." Max wagged his tail, his eyes sparkling with joy. Over time, the Pause for Healing program garnered national attention. News outlets featured stories about the life-changing bonds being formed between rescue animals and their new owners. Donations poured in from across the country, allowing the program to expand its reach. Alex and Max found themselves busier than ever, but they wouldn't have had it any other way. Each day brought new challenges, but it also brought moments of profound connection and hope. One such moment came during a visit to a children's hospital. Max had been invited to serve as a therapy dog for the day, bringing comfort and joy to young patients. As they walked through the halls, Max's presence lit up the faces of everyone he encountered. In one room, they met a boy named Liam, who was recovering from a serious surgery. Liam had been withdrawn and quiet, but when Max approached his bedside, something shifted. The boy reached out hesitantly, his small hand brushing against Max's fur. "Hi, Max," Liam said softly, a smile creeping across his face. Alex watched as Max rested his head on the bed, his tail wagging gently. It was a simple gesture, but it spoke volumes. For the next hour, Liam and Max played together, the boy's laughter echoing through the room. It was a moment of pure joy, a reminder of the healing power of love and companionship. As Alex and Max left the hospital that day, Alex couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude. Max had brought so much light into his life, and now they were able to share that light with others. Their journey together had been filled with twists and turns, but through it all, they had remained a team. Alex knew that as long as they had each other, there was nothing they couldn't accomplish. Sitting on the porch that evening, watching the stars twinkle above, Alex looked down at Max and smiled. "We've come a long way, haven't we? Max wagged his tail in response, his eyes full of trust and love. "And we've got so much more to do," Alex said, scratching Max behind the ears. "Together, we can do anything?" Max leaned into Alex's touch, a contented sigh escaping his lips. In that moment, Alex knew that their story was far from over. Together, they would continue to make a difference, one paw print at a time.